I'm Emma Reynolds, 26, and for 3 years I had poured everything I had into a relationship that I thought was love. Every smile, every favor, every dollar, I gave freely because I believed in us. I didn't see myself as naive. I told myself relationships required compromise. But compromise, I learned, has a limit when the other person sees it as weakness. Roger and I met in college. He was charming, the kind of guy who could make you feel like you'd just won the lottery by existing in his world. And I, being the hopelessly optimistic type, believed in him. The red flags? They were there. He would forget his wallet, borrow money without thinking twice, or casually suggest expensive purchases with the assumption I'd foot the bill. I told myself, love is about give and take. But lately the scale was tipping, and I was giving far more than I was taking. 8 months ago, he wanted a new car. His old Honda was fine, he said, but he needed something professional for work. My heart sank. I had saved $32,000 for a down payment on a house. But he argued, and he had a way of wearing me down. I bought him a 2021 BMW 3 Series, $38,000, financing most of it in his name because of his credit, with the understanding he'd make the monthly payments. Guess how many he made in 6 months? 2. I tried to ignore it. I tried to tell myself that love wasn't about money, but last Thursday, everything cracked. I came home early, nursing a headache, hoping for a quiet evening. Instead, I found him with his friends, Keisha and Mona, day drinking in the living room. "Girl, I still can't believe Emma bought you a whole BMW," Keisha said, laughing. Roger giggled, that smug, infuriating giggle he thought was clever. "You gotta train them, right? Emma's too nice. That's why I can do whatever I want." I froze. The words echoed in my head. Too nice. He wasn't joking. He wasn't careless. He was bragging about exploiting me. Mona's voice chimed in. "Doesn't she get mad about the payments?" "She complains, then forgets," he said, smirking. "What's she going to do? Take the car back?" "Ha! Not enough spine." They laughed. My stomach turned. My trust shattered. Every smile, every favor, every compromise, I had been manipulated. After they left, Roger wandered into the kitchen, pretending nothing happened. "Hey, babe, feeling better?" His voice was casual, but I felt the sting of betrayal like a slap across the face. I just nodded, too stunned to respond. That night, I called my lawyer friend Terrell, confirmed the BMW was legally mine, changed the locks, started packing his things into boxes. When he returned at 11 p.m., the key wouldn't work. "Babe, my key isn't working," he shouted through the door. "Hello? This isn't funny." I opened the door just enough to show him the boxes. "Your stuff is packed. We're done." "What? Let me in." His voice cracked between panic and disbelief. "I heard you today with your friends," I said calmly. "You think being too nice is the same as being stupid? Let's see how that works out." His face cycled through confusion, realization, panic, and manipulation. "I was just joking." "No," I cut him off. "I don't sit around laughing about using my partner." He tried to bargain. "What about my car?" I smiled. "The car? The one in my name? I'll handle it." He exploded with disbelief, pounding the door, sending messages, calling. I blocked him. The first night of our separation, I felt a mix of triumph and heartbreak. I had taken back my life, but the love I thought we shared had crumbled into ashes. The next morning, I reported the BMW as stolen, technically true since I revoked permission, and called the lender for voluntary repossession. The tow truck came and went professionally in 10 minutes. 45 minutes later, I heard screaming outside. Roger was in the empty parking spot, phone in hand, flailing and shouting threats. I ignored him. That day he called, texted, and even attempted to manipulate friends and family. But I documented everything, kept my cool, and reminded myself that standing up for yourself isn't mean. It's necessary. For 3 years, I had given him every reason to think he could do whatever he wanted. That ended now. And deep down, I knew this was just the beginning. Being too nice wasn't my mistake. Not anymore. 8 months earlier, the BMW had seemed like a compromise. Not a gift, not a trap, but a gesture of goodwill that I hoped would strengthen our relationship. My heart had argued louder than my bank account. He needs this car for work. I want him to succeed. I trust him to hold up his end. I had put $15,000 down, financed the rest in his name because his credit was shot, and trusted him to make the monthly payments. It was supposed to be simple, adult, responsible. Instead, it became a ticking emotional time bomb. That Thursday night replayed in my mind like a bad movie. I remembered Keisha's laugh and Mona's question, Roger's smirk, and that smug phrase, too nice. The casual cruelty, the casual bragging, it hurt more than the money ever could. And suddenly, the car wasn't a luxury. It was a symbol of everything he had taken for granted. I called Terrell immediately, my hands shaking. The car is mine, right? Yes, he said calmly. Everything you need to reclaim it is in order. Just don't do anything rash. Rash. My mind laughed at the irony. Every move Roger had made over the past 3 years had been rational in his mind, and yet he never considered mine. I began packing his things into boxes, silently, methodically, clothes, shoes, gaming consoles, trash bags filled with the little luxuries he thought he deserved. By 11 p.m., he returned. I could hear the jingle of keys in the door, the cautious creak of the lock. He tried. The key wouldn't work. Babe, Emma, what the hell? My key isn't working. His voice cracked, just a whisper above panic. I opened the door slowly, letting the dim hallway light fall across the neatly packed boxes. Your stuff is in boxes. We're done. What? Let me in! Panic creeping into anger, his hands fisted at the door. I heard you today with your friends, I said evenly. You bragged about using me, about exploiting my generosity. You think being too nice is the same as being stupid? Not anymore. He froze. His face cycled. Confusion, realization, panic, manipulation. I was joking. You know me. It's all... No, I cut him off. It's not a joke. Not ever. His panic turned to desperation. What about the car? I smiled, as much for myself as for him. The car? The one in my name? I'll handle it. I knew he couldn't touch it. Every payment had been documented, every promise broken. My lawyer confirmed it. Legally, it was mine. Emotionally, it was even more powerful. I had taken control. For the next several days, he called. He texted. He tried to manipulate friends and family, spinning narratives and playing victim. But I documented everything. Screenshots, recordings. Every interaction became part of a digital armor I would later wield in my defense. When the repo truck arrived, I watched from the window as the driver calmly took the car away. Roger screamed, flailed, shouted. I felt a strange mix of triumph, guilt, and sorrow. The man I had loved was reduced to shouting at a tow truck while I stood quietly in my apartment. Later, he texted from a new number, claiming the car was stolen and threatening to call the police. I laughed quietly. Technically, yes, it was stolen, by his definition. But legally, the car had always been mine. I forwarded the messages to Terrell. He simply said, "Good, let her try." Even as I watched him spiral, a small, uneasy part of me mourned the relationship I had once cherished. I had given my heart freely, thinking it would be treasured. Instead, it had been used as collateral. Then came the threats from lawyers and fake IRS notices, escalating in a way that made me realize how far he would go to manipulate and intimidate me. My life became a carefully choreographed dance of documentation, patience, and emotional restraint. I stayed calm, collected, and unbroken. Through it all, one thought anchored me. This wasn't just about a car. It was about boundaries, about respect, about realizing that being too nice doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. And finally, as the days passed, I realized something I hadn't before. I didn't need him to validate my love or my generosity. I only needed to reclaim my life, and I was doing it, one deliberate, quiet step at a time. The next chapters promise chaos, legal entanglements, and emotional confrontation. But for now, the first victory was mine. Being too nice hadn't cost me everything. Standing up for myself was the real beginning. I thought reclaiming the BMW would be the climax. I was wrong. Within days, the situation escalated beyond anything I could have imagined. Roger, the man I had trusted, began weaving a web of chaos designed to unsettle me. First came the fake lawyer calls. A man claiming to be Bradley Steinman left voicemails threatening legal action if I didn't return the car immediately. I Googled him. No such lawyer existed. My heart raced, not with fear, but with exasperation. Terrell confirmed my suspicion. Roger had impersonated a lawyer. Then came the IRS calls. "We need to suspend your accounts due to an investigation," a stern voice said. I almost laughed at the absurdity. It was him again, or someone acting on his behalf. identity theft, harassment, manipulation, all aimed at intimidating me into returning the car, into breaking, into giving him power again. I documented everything: phone records, screenshots, call logs, emails. Every interaction became a piece of armor against his escalating madness. He even tried small claims court, filing a $55,000 suit, claiming the car and emotional distress. I filed my own reports with the police. Walking into the police station, I felt a mix of anger and clarity. The detective barely hid a smirk as I explained the fake lawyer calls and IRS impersonation. "So your ex is pretending to be a lawyer? And the IRS? Interesting," he said. I nodded. "Yes, and he's also trying to drag friends and family into it." I replayed every memory of him. The charm, the casual cruelty, the smug arrogance when he thought he had me cornered. It hurt, but it no longer controlled me. I was calm. I was meticulous. I was finally acting for myself. Meanwhile, Roger's friends became part of the chaos. Keisha and Mona, once casual bystanders, were unwitting actors in his schemes, lending voices, messages, and support to his deceptions. He tried to manipulate social perception, spreading rumors, gaslighting people into thinking I was the unstable one. But I had evidence, patience, and legal counsel. One night I received a text from a blocked number. "Emma, this isn't over. I'll ruin you." I smiled. "You already tried, and I survived." I forwarded it to Terrell, my silent partner in this carefully orchestrated defense. Amid the legal and emotional turmoil, I realized a truth I had ignored. The betrayal wasn't just in what he had done. It was in who he truly was. The charm, the jokes, the smiles, they were tools, not love. I had given 3 years of trust to a man who measured relationships by convenience and personal gain. That realization stung more than any court case ever could. In the days that followed, I faced impersonation attempts, identity theft, and social manipulation. Each call, each threat, each fake document was a reminder of how carefully he had planned to control me. But I responded with calm precision. I filed police reports. I blocked numbers. I documented. I protected myself. And with every passing day, the storm he had tried to unleash lost its power over me. By the end of the week, a strange sense of clarity settled over me. Chaos had ruled for a short time, but the rules of my life were mine to set. Every act of manipulation, every attempt to intimidate, had been a reflection of his choices, not mine. I had not broken, I had not faltered, I had reclaimed myself. Still, I knew the final confrontation was coming. The law would eventually intervene. He would face consequences. And I, finally, would close this chapter not with tears, but with understanding, control, and resilience. For the first time in months, I slept without fear. My apartment, my belongings, my life, mine again. The BMW was gone, yes, but it was a symbol, not the prize. The prize was clarity, strength, and the knowledge that standing up for yourself isn't mean, it's necessary. Even as I braced for court appearances, legal maneuvers, and emotional fallout, one thing became crystal clear. 3 years of pretending to love him, of tolerating manipulation, had ended, and I was stronger for it. The court date arrived like a storm I had been waiting to weather. I walked into the courthouse, calm and measured, carrying only what I needed: my evidence, my lawyer Terrell, and the unshakable confidence that I had done nothing wrong. Roger appeared, subdued, stripped of the smug arrogance that had once defined him. For a moment, I caught the faintest flicker of fear in his eyes. Justice, in its quiet way, had already begun to unravel the chaos he had spun. The hearing itself was brief, tense, and clinical. His lawyer, a real one finally, met us in the hallway. "My client will plead no contest to harassment in exchange for dropping the other charges," the attorney said. Emma, me, nodded silently. No trial, no drawn-out drama, just clarity and consequence. Roger's moment of bravado evaporated as he muttered his agreement. Yes, he would face probation, community service, and a restraining order. His civil suit, the one where he claimed the car and emotional distress, was dropped. It was over. In the parking lot, his mother approached me, eyes glistening. "I hope you're happy," she whispered. "You ruined her life." I shook my head slowly. "No, Diana," I said, feeling the weight of my own resilience settle in my chest. She ruined her own life. I just stopped letting her ruin mine. 3 weeks later, I had moved downtown. New apartment, new routines, locks changed, finances secured, therapy sessions to untangle the emotional wreckage, to rebuild trust in myself. Slowly, steadily, I was reclaiming life. Roger, meanwhile, tried small attempts of intrusion. Cards left at my old apartment, fake phone calls. But I was prepared. Each attempt was met with the law, boundaries, and calm dismissal. His manipulations lost their power because I no longer allowed fear to guide me. Social media became my ally rather than my trap. I deleted accounts that had been used to monitor me, to gaslight me, to manipulate. I shared nothing of my personal life with anyone who didn't earn the right to know it. I created walls around my life, strong, impenetrable, and necessary. The final updates trickled in over time. Roger's friends faced minor legal consequences for their participation. The BMW went to auction. Identity theft attempts were reported and thwarted. Slowly, the web of chaos he had spun unraveled, leaving only the truth. Consequences follow actions. And through it all, I discovered something vital about myself. Standing up for yourself is not cruel. It is necessary. Generosity, kindness, and love are not weaknesses, but they must be accompanied by boundaries, by the courage to say enough. For 3 years, I had given everything to someone who didn't deserve it. For 3 weeks, I had reclaimed not only my possessions, but my dignity, my trust in myself, and my sense of peace. The hardest lessons are often the most empowering. I learned that being too nice is not the problem. Being blind to manipulation is. I learned that love must be reciprocal, or it becomes a tool for exploitation. And most importantly, I learned that reclaiming your life, your true life, is worth every battle, every confrontation, every uncomfortable moment. As I locked the door to my downtown apartment for the final time that day, I felt the weight lift from my shoulders. I was free. I was safe, and I was finally living for myself. 3 years of manipulation, 3 weeks of chaos, and a lifetime of lessons later, Emma Reynolds was unshakable. Being too nice isn't stupid, it's human. And knowing when to stop giving is strength.